Your signature policy is to give every adult in the United States $1,000 a month, no questions asked.
That's right.
How would you do that?
Sorry?
How would you do that?
Andrew Yang, entrepreneur, attorney, philanthropist, and most notably 2020 Democratic presidential candidate. Now you might be familiar with him from seeing him debate at the presidential primary, or you might have seen him on late night shows or even on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast. Either way, I got a bone to pick with this guy, and we're not even talking politics. On July 12th, he had the audacity to step onto my turf talking about movies. He tweeted, "I find live-action remakes of Aladdin, Lion King, and other movies I grew up with a bit depressing. It's like we can't come up with new stories." Now, this video is not to discuss politics. I actually find Andrew Yang quite enjoyable. He seems like a cool guy I'd like to talk with. But when he tweets about movies, I gotta respond. And right now, me and him are not on good terms. Now, this mindset of being upset specifically at Disney for making these remakes of old classics that we grew up with is not a new thought. In fact, many people are upset with this, and I do not blame Andrew Yang for trying to relate with the large majority who likes to tweet out their thoughts like this. This feels like a topical conversation to have as well, with The Lion King coming out this weekend, and it's going to make a lot of money. That on top of seeing a new Mulan trailer come out, a lot of casting for The Little Mermaid is coming out, and the internet is up in arms. They're saying, we're done. We do not want any more Disney remakes. So my goal throughout this whole movie is to kind of show you that that's not the case. This kind of mindset that all new movies are franchises and sequels and remakes, that's not the case. And second, I want to show you that this is not new, that this has been happening for many, many years, and the movie industry has always taken advantage of this nostalgic feeling you get inside when you see something you already know before. And the third, I want to show you how we can stop this, and we can actually put our money, literally our money, where our mouth is. And Andrew Yang, if you are listening to this video, I do respect your decision, no hard feelings, and I would love to interview. Come on my YouTube channel. So my first point is I want to show you that not all new movies are remakes or sequels. In fact, some of my favorite movies this year are original ideas and scripts. Movies like Us, Booksmart, Yesterday, Always Be My Maybe, Late Night, Midsummer. These are all original ideas and movies that you can see. The problem is, I know that the majority of you didn't even watch Booksmart. How do I know this? Because it did not do so hot at the box office. In fact, it opened the same week as Aladdin, and guess what everyone saw? Aladdin. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. We will get into box office later. So the point is that there are a lot of new original movies. And even as you scroll through movies that were released this summer, you can even see that it's pretty balanced with new original scripts compared to existing franchises. This month alone, it looks like the only major franchises are Spider-Man and Lion King compared to almost a dozen new ideas. So again, I'm sorry, Andrew Yang, please come talk to me about this issue that you care so much about, but we can come up with original ideas, and we do come up with original ideas. It's right there. This next point that I need to make clear to you is that remakes and sequels and existing franchises and using those franchises to make new movies, this is not a new concept. Let's take the 90s, for example, right? Because that's the decade that we're all so upset that they're stealing from. In fact, before we even get to the 90s, let's look at the decade even before that, the 80s. If you were to look at the top 10 grossing movies of that decade, a lot of them are existing franchises that are either sequels or remakes. You got 2 Star Wars sequels that come out. You got a Batman, which was a reboot to an existing franchise. You got a couple Indiana Jones movies, which, okay, they're sequels, so why aren't we upset that those came out back then? And when you move into the 90s, it's pretty much the same thing. You got Titanic, which is based on a very, very, very old movie. You got another Star Wars movie. You got a sequel to Toy Story. You got Men in Black, which, okay, it's the first one of the series, but did you know it's based off the comic? And we all know how much we want them to stop making comic book movies. And then you got The Lion King, which in itself was not a very original property. In fact, did you know that when The Lion King was released, a big controversy surrounding it is that it was too close to this similar cartoon, Kimba, the White Lion? So not only did they allegedly steal this idea of a cartoon lion, but The Lion King is literally the story of Hamlet. Kind of like how they tried to do that with Oliver Twist when they made Oliver and Company. It's just Lion King stuck and was much more successful. Why should I worry? So the point is that even in decades like the 80s and 90s that we glorify for the amazing movies that came out in those years, they were still also just making movies off existing franchises. Even Disney, the big old mouse himself, was doing the same thing. In fact, if you look at the majority of movies from the Disney Renaissance period, they were all off of existing stories or fairy tales. Oliver and Company, The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Lion King, Hercules. Mulan was an original idea, so I'll give that to them, but then they just go right back to Tarzan, so whatever. Point is that these are still very good movies, and I have a very high regard for them in my conscious, nostalgic brain of mine, but they're not original. They're just not. And I understand the urge to complain because that wasn't as blatant as this very much shot-for-shot remake that they're doing right now. So a lot of you might be complaining more so the fact, like, do we need this? Do we need another version? And I'm saying I don't really care, because do we need another version of Hamlet? Probably not, but they were able to do it in a very interesting style that compelled an interesting story, and so if it can do the same thing for this and make me smile, whatever. Last point, remakes are just here for a cash grab. My response to that is duh. Now don't get me wrong, there are a lot of people that are in the movie business to create art. They want to push the craft forward and they're looking to do new things. Kind of like how Jon Favreau is doing that with the technology he's using to make Lion King. But that's different, right? Because he's just doing this to make money. Or maybe you can move the craft forward, you can do it for the sake of art and film, and also make money off of it. This is a business. The original Lion King made a lot of money. Most Disney movies make a lot of money. Throughout history, films have made a lot of money. There is no surprise that this movie is also going to do that, and there's no surprise that they know that and are banking on it. If there was no profit involved, we see a lot less movies in general. So yes, they are doing this for money. You should not be shocked by that. You should not be upset by that. But here's what you should be upset by. The fact that you complain so much about it, but yet are still giving them all their money. Now, I mentioned a little bit before the comparison with Booksmart and Aladdin. No one saw Booksmart. Everyone saw Aladdin, and the box office showed. What does that tell you? Because what that tells me is that there are over 80,000 people that are willing to like a tweet complaining about Disney remakes, but yet those are the people that are not going to see independent movies, not original movies. They're going to go and see sequels and remakes, because we see it every year. Every time the Oscars come out and the nominations are revealed, usually the top couple comments on any Facebook post is, I've never heard of these movies. And I get it. It's really hard to do. It's hard to go to your local theater's website, look at showtimes, click on a movie that you've never heard of, read the bio, watch a trailer, maybe go see it. And I understand that that's difficult for some people, rather than just go to a movie that you've seen the actor go on late night shows and you see the trailer over and over on Good Morning America. I understand the struggle, but here's my challenge to you, because I know The Lion King is really well marketed and they are trying so hard to make you think that that's the only movie being released this week. But I'm here to tell you it's not. And the thing is, I'm not even against The Lion King. I'm going to see it, I'm probably going to enjoy it, and I'm also going to see every other Disney remake that comes out, but I'm also going to support other indie films as well. In fact, this month alone, you can see movies like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, The Farewell, The Art of Self-Defense. These are all original ideas, not based on sequels, remakes, or existing franchises that aren't The Lion King. And chances are, when you go and see these movies, you support original ideas, because what happens is when a movie like Aladdin and The Lion King comes out and they see how much money it makes, they realize, like, oh, people like this and they want to see more of this. Because what would happen if we actually put our money where our mouth was? And instead of complaining so much about Disney remakes and sequels, we would actually go out and support independent films. Here's my challenge to you. Anytime you hear that Disney is making a remake or sequel off of an existing franchise, you can enjoy it and let other people enjoy it as well. Or if you don't particularly care for it, go support other films because they're out there and they're waiting to be watched and be supported by your dollars. So if you like this video and want to hear more commentary on subjects like this, please like and subscribe for more content, especially if you're Andrew Yang. I would love to have you on here, interview, talk about this subject and others like it, I suppose. Till then, I will see you next time.
How would you do that?
Sorry?